of the project sponsor is that of project governance. And there are two sides to project governance. There is the demand side, which says or asks, are we doing the right projects? And then there is the supply side, which asks, are we doing those projects right? And of the two, by far the most important is ensuring that the project that you are sponsoring has a valid business case and is the best use of your company or your organization's resources at that time. One of the roles of the project sponsor that you may or may not like is that of a cheerleader. And I've said this to a lot of executives and they say, that's not my job. I'm not going to go run around and wave pom-poms. But unfortunately, you must, because your peers had their own candidate list of projects. They were not selected, yours was. And I think it's important to say here that many executives would come back and say, it's not my job to plan this project, and that's what I have a project manager for. Well, yes, you do have a project manager who is responsible for ensuring the work breakdown structure is complete, that all tasks are assigned to people who are qualified and have the appropriate training and tools to get the job done. But it's your job as sponsor to validate the credibility and feasibility of that project plan. Project sponsorship is responsible for identifying, defining the project, whereas project management is concerned with delivering on that project.
Up here, the probability of success of this project is only 65%. So that gives you an early warning sign to say, what's going on with the project? How do I drill down and find out more? On the left-hand side, you can see that it's showing that, well, we've got some pieces here that are healthy. We've got other pieces here that are not so good. And so here, the other piece it shows is a trend line. So for example, over here under resource availability, 48 is not a good score, and the trend line is going down. Is that this tool also provides utility to a sponsor who is potentially over more than one project.
The skills in the column on the left, what has traditionally been referred to as project management, is in fact project administration. And the skills in the column on the right are the skills that a project leader needs to have to ensure that the project is completed successfully.
In my experience, a sponsor might sign off on the communication plan, but constantly revisiting it and saying, we're at this phase. How are we changing? How are we going to communicate? And what's our experience? What results have we seen from communications? I think that's fabulous.
Well, and that's where a tool like True Project, which is constantly polling all stakeholders and specifically asking them, is the communication from the project team effective? My recommendation to everyone is that you should provide training to senior management in the role and responsibilities of project sponsorship. Unless an executive has risen through the ranks of project management throughout his or her career, there's a good likelihood that they do not understand the scope of this responsibility.